After applying the style for the nav header, let's go to the next section. So the next section is the submenu section. So as I explained, the first div inside the navigation panel is to show the menu that is in context. And then let's say if travel videos is the menu in context, then we are displaying the submenu of the travel videos, and this section is for that. So international travels and road trips are the submenus of travel videos. Now let's apply the style for this, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to define a style for the nav panel submenus. And again, I have defined the CSS style for them already over here. So I have defined as a class selector, CSS class selector called nav panel. That's the padding, height, the display, color, the border, the background color, and so on. So basically I have defined this style, and now let's apply this style on this div. So I'm going to say class nav panel. So let's see what happens after applying this class. So what we can see is, we can see after applying this class, the submenus international travels and road trips appear over here. And then, at the bottom, we have the other main menus, travel videos, tech videos, food videos, and sport videos displayed over here. Now, we are yet to apply styles on the other main menus, so that's the next section. But let's understand a little bit on the style that we have applied to the submenus. So the submenus, as we see, if you hover over the submenu, let's say international travel, it is highlighted with a yellow color. Similarly, if you hover road trips, it is highlighted with the yellow color. Now this is happening because we have applied the style. If we go to the default.css, we define the nav panel style, and then we also defined and if you see, the nav panel is nothing but a hyperlink, the anchor tag over here, right? And we have defined for the nav panel style, if it is an anchor tag, then what style to apply. And that's why, when you see, and when the nav panel hyperlink is visited, we have the black color font, and basically it's a plain text kind of thing, right? But then if you see, we have also defined nav panel. A means anchor tag, and hover means when we are hovering the mouse over it. And what we have defined is when we hover the mouse over it, change the background color and the border color. And that's why when I hover the mouse, you can see the background color and the border color of the submenu changing. All right, now let's go to the last section of the nav panel. So the last section of the nav panel is a section which displays the other main menus, in fact all the main menus. So if we go back, what we have seen is the nav panel consists of three parts. The first part is the menu that has been selected or in context, and the second part is displaying the submenus of the menu that has been selected. And the third part is which shows all the main menus. So if you see, the main menus are all the main menus that we have are travel videos, tech videos, food videos, and sport videos. By default, the first main menu, that is travel videos, is shown as context, and the submenus for that is shown over here. So now let's apply style for the main menu section in the nav panel. So what I have done is I have defined the style for that, and I'm calling that as nav select, right? So these are the different main, basically the styles that will be applied for all the main menus that we are going to define. So let's first apply the style to the main menu section, and let's see how it appears. So now that I have applied the style, let's go to the app and see. So now we can see the main menu is appearing as per the markup after the styles have been applied. So let's understand the style a little bit. So if you go to the CSS section, so I have defined nav select, basically defined the bottom and the width. And then I have also defined for the nav select, because all the main menus are wrapped inside the anchor tag, A tag you see here. So I've defined the style for the anchor tag. So define the height. That's why you can see it's a little boxy. And then the padding, the background image, the font, and the color. And also when we hover on the main menu, the color is changing, and that's because of this hover style that we have defined. So once again, if we go here, if we hover, we can see the color being changing of the main menu, and that's because of the CSS style that we have applied. All right, with this, we have completed the nav panel section as well. Now let's get into the content section. So first, let's go to the mockup and understand the content section a little bit. So if we see the mockup, the content section again has two parts. One, the header. Basically, this displays the content title, or whatever we want to display over here as part of the header for the content. And then the next portion is the portion where the actual content will be rendered. Now at this time, let's say if I have select international travels, I see international travel being printed over here. But ideally, when we go through the videos further, we will see we will try to show the videos related to international travels rendered over here. So that's all about the content section. So let's start the development now. So if I go to the my app, now we are done with the header section, we are done with the nav panel, and we are going to start the content section. There's one small thing left out in the nav panel, and what that is if you see the mockup, you see this one, the 3 or 4 dots over here, which is a little separator, that is in the nav panel. Let's add that as well in our my app. So for that, what we need is again a CSS style. So what I have done is I have defined a CSS style called separator, nav separator. So if you see here, this is the CSS style that I have defined called nav separator. Now where do we add this nav separator? So again, going back to the mockup, now in the nav panel we saw there are 3 sections, right? So the section 1 is where the menu in context, or the selected menu, and their submenus are displayed. And then then in the bottom we have the list of all the main menus, and just above that we have the separator. So we need to add the separator somewhere here. So let's go back to the code, and what we are going to do is, this is the section where we display all the main menus. So just right above this, I'm going to create a div, and I'll just put class nav separator. So let me go here, copy paste the class selector name and put it over here. Now let's go back and let's refresh. So we can see the nav separator is rendered over here. So this completes our navigation panel. Of course, there are some images. If we look into the mock, there are images which I haven't added yet, but we can do that later. Let's go into the content section. So as I said, content section has 2 parts. One is the the title of the content, and then the actual content that will be displayed in the content section. So what I'm going to do is, let's define a div, and this div is going to act as the parent content container. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to define another div which will have the title of the content section. So let's say content title, and then I'm going to have in fact, let's put this the div wrapper, and inside this I have a div, and close the div tag, and then put it over here. And then finally I have div, and here this is nothing but the content panel or frame, whatever you call it. The content title and the content panel appears in the on the screen, but again there is no style that has been applied. So the next thing we are going to do is apply the styles on the divs that we have created to make it look like the mockup. So to start with, again, let's go to the mockup. We can see the title style for this content is same as the style that we have for the nav panel selected menu, right? So what we can do is we can go and apply the same style that we have for the nav panel header. So if you remember, we defined the nav header style. So let's say if I go and apply class nav header, and now if we check, we can see the boxed style has been applied to the header of the content section as well. So if you see, it pretty much looks like the header of the selected nav panel header as well. So now one option is we can have this as nav header, or we can do one small change if you want to keep this class relevant to the content section. Now because the style is going to be the same, what we can do is we go to this nav header, and I'm going to add another name called content header, right? So now let's see. So, and because we have the nav header style defined for div as well, so I'm going to put comma content header. So now let's go and in the layout.html change this to content header. So what we will see is even though we change the class selector name to content header, the same style has been retained. So as I said, we can use here the class nav header, but I want this content section to have relevant the CSS name for the content section. That's why what I did is I just defined this style is going to be applied for two class selectors. One is the nav header and one is the content header. Okay, now next part is let's apply style to the content panel, because it is still not looking like the content panel here is not looking like the mock. So let's fix that. So for that, what I have done is I have defined a style for the content panel as well. So define the width, then the margin, the background color needs to be white. That's what we have in the mock. The border color is like this color. So let's try to apply the style. So go to HTML, and this is a content panel div. So class, and let's take the name content. So we will put the class name as content, and let's see what happens. Just refresh. Okay, so the first thing that we have seen is, if you see earlier when the class was not applied, this box was all spread across the nav panel. So let's look at that. So let's say I remove this class over here, so you can see the box is like spread across the nav panel, right? So now once we apply the class, we can see the box is limited to the content section only. And why is that? That is because we have defined the content style saying that, hey, float left, that means it stays in the left side, and then we have defined the width, we have defined the margin, and of course the the background color and the border, right? Now let's go to the content panel now. So this is the content panel. So what we do is we go here and apply the class content panel, and let's see what happens. We can see the content section is looking exactly like the mock that we have. There's just one thing missing, and that part is the white background we see of the content section, right? So to address that, what we are missing here is we are missing a height attribute for this content style. So let's make this 92%, and let's go and see. So if you see, the content section gets a white background. So it was not there before because we did not define the height of the content panel. Now that we have defined the height, we can see it looks very much similar to the mock that we have created. This, we have learned how to create a layout for a web application. But what we have done so far is all static. What I mean from static is, if I click on this tech videos or food videos, we can see the sub menu is not changing. Also, if we click on this, the sub menu is basically the content panel is not changing. But if you look into our mock application, if I select food menus, we can see the sub menu being refreshed. And if I click on any of these sub menu, I can see the content panel also getting refreshed. So this is where in the next session, we will start adding JavaScript to our app. Once we add JavaScript to our app becomes dynamic, and we will see how we can load the menus and the submenus from JavaScript